This phone, as small as it is, costs ₦500,000 or 500,000 naira, aka $1,000, $999. This is the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 3 5G. This is the elder brother. It's of course a folding phone. This costs 1,799, which is almost 900,000 naira, almost ₦1 million. Not everyone can afford to spend almost ₦1 million or ₦500,000 on a smartphone. I couldn't when I started making videos on YouTube here. So this video is for those who have a budget of 150,000 naira or $300 to spend on a smartphone and get as much value as they possibly can from a smartphone. I've used some phones on this list and I've also reviewed some phones on this list. I get a lot of questions regarding how much smartphones to buy within this price range, and these are the ones I think you should get in my opinion. If you're new to the channel, welcome, and if you're returning, welcome back. I'd love it if you could hit that like button so more people can benefit from these recommendations that we will be sharing. It's currently Jumia's shopping festival till the end of this month, till the 29th of this month. The whole idea is that you get massive discounts on tech items, electronics, and everything else on their platform, and all you have to do is download the app with my link in the description below and browse for deals. In fact, to spice things up, I'm giving away 10,000 naira vouchers to 2 people who download the app, so you can get anything you want within that price range. Just click the link in the description below and get downloading. The shopping festival ends on the 29th, but you can still keep downloading, still keep downloading the app, and I'll be sharing both vouchers in a week after this video is live. All right, I'll shut up now. Without further ado, let's get to the video. The first one on this list that I'll be talking about isn't really about the phone in and of itself. It's about the series. It's the Redmi Note 10 Pro. We have the Redmi Note 10, the Redmi Note 10 Pro, the Redmi Note 10S, the Redmi Note 10T. We even have the Redmi Note 10 5G version. 5. Of course, they have different naming conventions for different countries. For instance, India has the Redmi Note 10T and the Note 10S, I believe. They also usually do a global variant and a Chinese variant. Anyway, the main categories to be concerned about here are the Redmi Note 10 and the Redmi Note 10 Pro, and you cannot go wrong with any of them really. I have seen a good Redmi Note 10 Pro go for around 139,000 naira, and you can even get it for 132,000 naira if you look well, or even $265 internationally. I'll have links to Jumia for the best prices and other sites if you're watching from outside Nigeria. Anyway, for the technicalities of the Redmi Note 10 and 10 Pro, they were released in March of 2021 this year, and why I think it's a great contender is you get a large 5,000 milliamp hour battery, 5,000 plus on both the Note 10 and 10 Pro, and it's lithium polymer, something that we're seeing on flagships like the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip that we have here, which just launched this month, for a place with the paucity of electricity. NEPA. This is a great consideration for a full day's worth of use and even more. Another advantage is that the Note 10 Pro has a 33-watt charger, getting you all the way up from 0% to 59% battery in 30 minutes of charging. It's USB-C, of course. With OTG, you get a 108 megapixel camera in a 4-camera setup. It's an AMOLED screen at 120 Hz, which is super amazing and super smooth for that price point. Also, you get Snapdragon 732G, an 8nm processor that handles gaming like a champ. And for that very cool price tag, at the low end, you get 6 gigs of RAM and 64 gigs of storage, and at the upper end you get 8 gigs of RAM and 128 gigs of storage. I think it's a good bet and I highly recommend it. The second recommendation would be the Samsung Galaxy A52, and I got this right off of Jumia's website for approximately 146,000 naira or $292. I've used the A52 as my daily driver for the better part of this year, and I can say that it's a pretty decent mid-ranger or mid-range contender. It's an IP67 dust and water resistant device, Super AMOLED 2, but with 90 Hz. Very high pixel dense display. Samsung makes good screens already, and it just translates to the A52, and I can say it's slightly better than the Redmi Note 10 Pro. Where the A52 falls short though is in the processor, which is, although still an 8nm processor like the Redmi Note 10 Pro, it's the Snapdragon 720G compared to 732G that the Redmi Note 10 Pro has. The interesting thing is that they both have the same graphics processor. That is, the Redmi Note 10 Pro and the A52, same graphics processor. So you won't be missing out much. Samsung gives you a very decent 64 megapixel camera on the A52, and the rest of the quad camera setup has an additional 12 megapixel ultra wide, 5 megapixel macro, 5 megapixel depth sensor. You get a 32 megapixel selfie in addition, which is capable of 4K video recording. Battery on here is decent at 4,500 milliamp hours, but I would have loved to have more since Xiaomi has more for almost the same price tag, 5,020 milliamp hours compared to 4,500 on this guy. The A52 is also capable of 25 watts fast charging that can go from 0 to 50% in 30 minutes. Samsung sold out on the A50, which I made a video about. They sold out on the A51 again, which I made a video about. This is the A52, and we don't know the official sales numbers just yet, but it seems Xiaomi is leading this year. But hey, they are both good phones and for two different users. Samsung also makes the A52s, which just came out in around August of this year. It's a new variant with 5G that costs more, obviously, but the A52 comes in highly recommended. I've used this for the better part of this year, and I recommend. All right, moving on, at number 3, we've got very familiar faces here, the Tecno Camon 17 Pro and the Infinix Note 10 Pro. These are devices I've reviewed and they are easily accessible in Nigeria. Tecno and Infinix are both sub-brands of the African smartphone giant, which is Transsion, and these devices share very similar traits, and I have reviewed them both. They are both running on MediaTek's Helio G95 gaming processor. It's a gaming design processor, and if you want the full scoop, you can check out my individual reviews of the Infinix Note 10 Pro and the Camon 17 Pro. I'll leave a link in the description below. They are both Android 11 devices. Now keep in mind that all of the devices I've mentioned so far are Android 11. The Camon 17 Pro comes at a price tag of 125,000 naira or $250 at the maximum 256 gigs and 8 gigs of RAM level. The Infinix Note 10 Pro also has 256 gigs of storage and 8 gigs of RAM on the highest level as well, but it costs slightly lower at 115,000 naira or $230. They have the same, well, almost the same camera megapixel quality and quantities and sizes, except the more expensive Camon 17 Pro has a 48 megapixel dual LED flash, while Infinix stops at 60 megapixels for your selfie with LED flash. You are not at a total loss if you go with either one of them. They are, however, not a popular choice for the camera quality, especially in direct sunlight. Everything will be very bright. However, for controlled environments, they work well. And as I mentioned, if you're interested in either one of them, if you want to know more about them, I have detailed videos on the Camon 17 Pro and the Infinix Note 10 Pro, linked in the description below. All right, at number 4, the Vivo V21, priced at 159,000 naira or $318. Yes, this is above the budget. However, Vivo makes the Vivo V21e a more colorful, more affordable variant in the V21 series that costs $258 or 129,000 naira. Now, I have a video about the Vivo V21 where I go into all of the details about the device and also feature the V21e. I'll drop a link in the description below to watch. The V21 is really slim at 7.3 millimeters. The phone features an AMOLED display, which I praised a lot in that video. You also get that MediaTek Dimensity 800U processor, a 7nm processor that delivers well for gaming, a very good contender in processors among all the other devices I've mentioned in this list so far. You get 256 gigs of storage and 8 gigs of RAM on the Vivo V21. Vivo even had a trick up their sleeve with the V21, and not only do you get 8 gigs of RAM, you can extend it with 3 additional gigs of RAM taken from your storage to get a total of 11 gigs of RAM. The V21e settles with 8 gigs of RAM but tops out at 128 gigs of storage. They both come with 4,000 mAh batteries fitted in them. Both have fast charging up to 33 watts and can charge from 0 to 63% in 30 minutes. They are both very comparable phones in their right and share a lot of values, which I differentiated in my review video of the Vivo V21. For my last recommendation is the A93 or A93 from Oppo, the Oppo A93. To state my reasoning here, we had the Oppo A93, a device which I've reviewed on the channel as well, late last year. It's 125,000 naira or $250, which I can still recommend. Although it's got Android 10 and not Android 11 like the rest of the devices on this list, I believe it can be upgraded. I'm not so sure. I returned my review in it. However, I loved the phone a lot and I detailed my thoughts in that review video, so you can just watch that with the link in the description. I concluded that a more proper contender for 2021 would be the Oppo A94, which is around $350 to almost $600, and the Oppo Reno 5, which is 169,000 naira or $338, is still around the $300 range. I made a video about the Reno 5 too, which you can watch with the link in the description of this video. If you want more information, just everything, links all in the description. The A93 sports a very similar processor with the A94, the MediaTek P95, a 12 nanometer processor. Same storage as well, 8 gigs of RAM, 128 gigs of storage, 48 megapixel quad camera setup featuring an additional 8 megapixel for ultra wide, 2 megapixel for depth sensing, 2 megapixel for macro. So both the A93 from last year and the A94 this year are sharing similar features. The selfie camera is better on the A94 obviously in 2021, but the A93 still holds its ground. Battery is also plenty at 4000 milliamp hours and battery charges at 18 watt speed. I like that the display was Super AMOLED. I also liked the other color option it had too. Anyway, if you want the full scoop of the A93, as I said, I already made a video about it. Just where to check. For my honorable mentions, they are more for the audience that wants to maybe import them. They don't live in Nigeria, or they want to get them on something like Jumia Global, which is a service that Jumia has that helps you ship stuff internationally into Nigeria. Keep in mind that they might be slightly higher in price or higher than the 150,000 naira or $300 threshold which we've set. However, I think they're contenders, and around this $300 150,000 naira range they might just be slightly higher, slightly with an asterisk. The first is the Poco X3 Pro, which you can find on Jumia Global for 173,000 naira approximately, or $346. Although you have an IPS LCD display on this guy, it still features a 120 Hz refresh rate. It's a Snapdragon 860 phone, 7 nanometers, which is pretty decent, will be fast, and a huge 5160 milliamp hour battery. On there, it can charge from 0 to almost 60% in 30 minutes with the 33 watt fast charger. One thing I also wanted to talk about on the channel was that Realme is also in Nigeria. So the other day I saw that Realme Nigeria opened a Twitter account and they tweeted at me and a couple of us who are tech creators in Nigeria. I thought it was cool to see. Anyway, another device to check out for 170,000 naira or $340 is the Realme 8 Pro. Very solid phone from what I've seen. Also feature packed with Super AMOLED display, Snapdragon 720G, which we can find on devices like the Samsung Galaxy A52, which I talked about. The Realme 8 Pro has 108 megapixels on the back. Anyway, this Realme device comes in highly recommended if you have the budget. If you made it this far into the video, do drop a comment with the eye emoji. Let's know, those of us who stuck around to the end of this video, do you want me to make a higher price list kind of video, something like this but higher price, maybe higher than 150,000, 200,000, 300,000 naira category? Please let me know in the comment section below, and if this video was helpful, please hit that like button. Remember, we're giving 2 lucky winners 10,000 naira Jumia vouchers to buy whatever they want on the site. Make sure you download the app. Keep in mind that it's currently the shopping festival for Jumia and they have many other promos coming on. So thank you for watching. Do get the app. Make sure you like this video. I'll see you in the very next video.